4 years ago, I hurt my right ankle during a game of football. I had torn not one, not two, but 3 ligaments. Amazingly, for how rough I have been on my body over the years, I was thankful that was only my first serious injury, which took me several months to recover from. As a fitness coach and sports enthusiast, I was eager to get back in shape after about 4 months off. But when recovering from an injury of this severity, my right ankle had lost much of its stability and range of motion, and at that point of time, I could no longer deep squat without falling over backwards. So, embarrassingly, in my first session back to lifting weights, with my body rusty, my ankle unreliable, and despite using much lighter weights than I used to, my form crumbled during a lift and I ruptured a disc in my spine as a result. That was another couple of months that I had to spend on the sidelines recuperating. Having multiple major injuries and having to spend such a long time being physically inactive back to back really destroyed my motivation and momentum. My body had never felt worse. Sitting at my desk for just an hour or two would cause spasms in my back, and my ankle troubles also affected my knee and hip. It was a painful mess. Because I struggled to sit comfortably at a desk, I started to get restless and fidgety, which made me look for other ways to work on my computer. That was how and why I first started sitting on the floor. The idea was simple. Every now and then, I would work away from my desk. My most preferred position was deep squatting with my back leaning against the wall, as this allowed me to stretch my tight ankles and hips without falling over backwards. At first, my right foot would have pins and needles in just a few minutes. Then I would sit down with my ass on the floor and continue working from there. When I felt like it again, I would go back into a deep squat or into one of the many other positions that would likely stretch another part of my body. The more I sat on the floor, the more pain-free I felt. I got so comfortable with the floor that what was supposed to be just an alternative way to work on my computer soon became the primary way. When I was sleepy, I would even just take a nap on the floor. This was all amusing to friends and family, as they struggled to comprehend why I would prefer to sit on the floor when I had a perfectly functional desk and chair available to me. I really appreciated the freedom to move when on the floor. So when it was time to move into our new apartment, I brought up an idea to HL of having our workspace be on the floor because of all the benefits to my body that I've experienced firsthand. But we didn't just go ahead with the idea on a whim. It was quite a significant change after all. We had our concerns and questions about the practicality of it all. Would it get uncomfortable? Is it even good for our body in the long run? So we did our research, and even though we can't say that we have an answer to every question, I think we got it mostly figured out. In many cultures, notably Asian cultures, sitting on the floor is still the preferred way to rest and engage in social activities like having a meal together. Outside of these cultures, there's also a growing group of people who are adopting these practices purely out of preference. Sitting on the floor and deep squatting are simply natural human resting positions. There's no reason why it should be uncomfortable, except modern life has pretty much coached us out of these habits. But frankly, sitting on a floor chair that has a backrest doesn't feel any less comfortable than sitting on a normal chair, for us at least. If there's any bit that's uncomfortable, it would be getting in and out of the seat when used with a floor desk. But once seated, it feels great. Of course, the level of comfort can't be compared to sitting on modern furniture, such as ergonomic office chairs, which are designed to keep us comfortable in one position for extended periods of time. Some may imagine sitting on the floor to be uncomfortable, or at least less comfortable than sitting on more conventional furniture. Therefore, sitting on the floor must be bad for the body. But there isn't a direct correlation between the two. There's been a lot of talk about how prolonged sitting is detrimental to our health. But for many, having to work long hours, often in an office chair, is an unavoidable reality. And while ergonomics is certainly an important aspect that should be paid careful attention to, sitting in an expensive ergonomic chair in a perfectly optimized environment for 12 hours a day is still going to mess up the human body on a deep level. But that's not to say that chairs are the culprits, not at all. Similarly, sitting on the floor is also not going to be the solution. One can be sedentary, whether sitting on a chair or on the floor. The real issue is not how we are sitting, but how little we are moving. So, when it came time to decide on our own sitting situation, we realized that what we valued more was the freedom and variety of options that sitting on the floor provides us with. Our catchphrase when it comes to taking good care of our bodies is eat well, move more, and worry less. And ever since we've started sitting on the floor, we've found ourselves moving much more. There are smaller movements like shifting between the different sitting positions, and also larger movements like getting up and down the floor multiple times a day. Both of us have benefited from our new sitting arrangement. Our bodies feel more limber, and there's also some improvements in our strength and flexibility. It may not be a significant difference in the short term, but we believe that all these small improvements will come in handy if we can keep this up into our later years. And for me, at least now, I can go into a deep squat without falling over backwards. The intention of this video is not to convince anyone to make the switch, because, well, nothing is for everybody. This is just our personal take on why we choose to sit on the floor. We also feel that there's a need to address some of the comments left by viewers who are convinced that sitting on the floor is bad for the body or that it's somehow going to ruin our backs. That is just incorrect, and quite ironically, an improvement to my own back issues was precisely one of the benefits that we've gotten out of this. But it must be made clear that your mileage may vary. Sitting on the floor may not do wonders for your back the way it did for mine. If you're considering giving it a try, it is always a good idea to do a bit of research to find out if sitting on the floor will actually help you achieve the objectives that you're going for. But whichever way you choose to sit, one thing is for sure, we'll all benefit from moving more.